Have you ever wanted to take a budget deck out onto the ladder that has no V cards, no expensive cards, and still do really, really well? Well, I mean, Indeedee actually isn't that bad, so if you want to join in with this chaos, then feel free to do so. Thank you very much to Sam, who was the person who was generous enough to share this list with me. His Twitter is down in the description. If you'd like to follow along, he's always playing really cool budget deck lists, so definitely worth it. Let's talk about Indeedee for a second. It's got a couple of interesting attacks. The one that we're most interested in, though, is Hand Kinesis. For 2 colorless energy, it does 10 damage times the amount of cards in your hand. Seems pretty good. We could potentially get 600 damage going, potentially. I don't know if that's how it works. 58? No, 52. Because if we had every single card in our hand, minus the prizes, and Indeedee, and the energy, that would be 52. But we're never going to get there. The thing that we can do, though, is get to 320, which is pretty much the breakpoint for every VMAX in the game. How are we going to draw those cards, though? Well, we have a 4-4-4 line of the Zubat, Golbat, Crobat line, which is very, very good at drawing cards. We'll play down Crobat. It has the ability Drastic Draw. When we play it from our hand into play, we draw 3 cards. Very, very good, and Golbat has a similar ability, except instead of 3, it is 2. That means for every Golbat and Crobat we have put in play, we've actually increased our hand size by 3. We've drawn 5 cards, but played 2 down. It's pretty solid. We've also got Scoop Up Net so that we can use it over and over and over again. Very, very useful, but you might say, Mitch, what about money? Your hand's just going to get shuffled away. You're going to have 4 cards. 40 damage is never enough. Well, I say this to you. We can use the Zubat Milotic, a very, very powerful support Pokemon that specifically prevents us from being manied. Its ability says whenever an opponent plays a supporter card from their hand, prevent all effects of that card done to you or your hand. So Mani doesn't affect us. It also means that cards like Judge doesn't affect us. Anything that will change the amount of cards that we have does not work when Milotic is in play. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and have an Indeedee, we're going to try and have a couple of Golbats and Zubats floating around, and we'll also try and get that Milotic in play, and we'll just draw a ton of cards. In fact, to help us do that, we have supporters that only draw cards. Schoolboy and Schoolgirl are both in this deck. Depending on whether we're on odd or even numbered prizes, we can use those to help increase our hand size. We also have Avery, which is a good draw card, doesn't discard anything out of our hand. We just draw 3 cards, and our opponent reduces their bench until they have 3, which is very, very good. The rest of the deck is pretty self-explanatory. All we need to do is get Indeedee in play and a Twin Energy attached to it, and hopefully we can use this to take some knockouts on some new VMAXs. It's time to get started, and it looks to me like we are playing against a single strike deck, which is pretty good. We can definitely beat them. They're going to give us an opportunity to win because they will place damage counters on themselves. And Gengar specifically is going to be really, really bad against this deck. We have no V Pokemon, so they won't be able to use their main attack with Gengar VMAX. Hopefully they don't realize what we're up to and evolve. If they do that, then we have a really good chance to win. If they don't and just attack with Dark Slumber, then I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We'll Level Ball here. I'm going to grab myself an Indeedee. 90 HP means it's searchable by Level Ball. We will also play Schoolgirl here, draw a bunch of other cards. I like the Capture Energy on Indeedee here to grab us access to Zubat. We'll throw that down, and then we can scoop up the Zubat in the active, put the Indeedee into the active as well, play down Zubat, and then play down Indeedee, and use Collect. Didn't mention it in the deck profile, but Indeedee actually has a really nice synergy with its first attack. You use Collect in the early game, draw some cards, and then in the late game you should have a ton of them in play in order to get those knockouts that you need. Now obviously our opponent now knows that we are playing Indeedee, so if they do evolve, then that is probably a mistake, but I'm not unhappy if they choose to keep Vs in play, because we can trade quite nicely. 21 cards are very easy to get into our hand with this deck, so we will see if it is possible. We'll see if it's even possible, frankly. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know if we can do it, but I'm gonna do my very, very best. One thing that we didn't get down last turn that maybe we should have is a Feebas, in order to try and get a Mani lock going so that our opponent can never use it. The last thing what we want is to be hard punished by our opponent throwing down a Mani and creating a situation where we don't have enough cards to continue the game. So definitely worth considering for this turn. We also need to find Indeedee every turn, so that's important as well. Now, it looks like Dark Slumber has not actually knocked us out, and we've managed to wake up as well, which is incredible. So we've gained a turn for no reason other than where we were allowed to gain a turn. We have gained a turn. Let's go for an Evo Incense here. We'll grab ourselves another Golbat. We'll get as many Golbats in play as we can. The more Golbats we have, the more cards we have. And we've managed to draw into another one here, which is fantastic. We'll throw that down and then hopefully draw into a Feebas or a way to search one out. We've actually found a Capture Energy there. So what we might do is we might go into our deck and grab that Feebas. We'll put that on the bench. And now next turn, at the very least, we will be protected from Marnies. Now we need to make a decision here. I think Avery is the right decision for a supporter. We'll allow them to remove a couple of cards from their bench. I don't want them to have access to a ton of Houndooms because that can make my life very, very difficult. We will unfortunately see them remove the Crobat, which is a little disappointing, but we're relatively confident that we can get the knockouts here. So we're going to start off with a Hand Kinesis and try and put that Gengar under some pressure. Now, next turn, we still have a ton of good draw cards. If our opponent knocks out Indeedee, we can just promote the Indeedee from the bench, attach Twin Energy, place our Indeedee from our hand down, and we will be fine. It looks as well like our opponent is trying to power up their benched rapid single strike Urshifu, so we'll see whether or not that becomes a factor. There's their first knockout of the game. I think we're about to get ours as well, so we'll send the Indeedee onto the bench. We will evolve into Crobat, which is very, very good. Draw 3 cards here. We're going to see a ton of cards. We can attach the Twin Energy. We definitely need to do that. Then I'm going to Scoop Up Net. We're going to scoop that Crobat up. That'll allow us not only to play the Crobat again, but to also put the Zubat onto the bench. So we'll draw 3 more cards with our Crobat. There's another Scoop Up Net. If we want to just do it again, we can. To be brutally honest, I don't see any reason why not. We may as well pick these cards up. We'll put the Zubat back down and again draw 3 cards with Crobat. Fill this hand right up and, of course, play the Milotic so that we can't get Marnied. Now, I'm thinking we might just boss here. We've got heaps of cards in our hand and our opponent will never, ever be able to remove them. So now's the time to start thinking about knockouts. And I think that the best way to go is going to be to knock out our opponent's Urshifu. Let's Hand Kinesis here. I didn't do the maths. I just assumed that I was going to be doing I just assumed I was going to be doing enough damage. Well, that is embarrassing. I played Crobat 3 times. I just assumed that I was going to be doing enough. Alrighty then. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Because our opponent has 2 Pokemon now. Both of their attackers are very close to being knocked out. And that's good for us. That's good. They can never ever put energy onto that Urshifu. It's not going to happen. They'll knock themselves out before they start attacking with that thing. That was just embarrassing. Well, it's a good thing this isn't recorded and placed on the internet for everyone to see. It's okay. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fine. One thing that I do really like, by the way, is the fact that we can't get Marnied with this deck, right? So there's never any moments where I'm like, oh my god, I hope we don't get Marnied. It's just not gonna happen. We're not allowed to get Marnied. It's a great situation to find ourselves in. All right, Rescue Carrier. Let's throw that down. We're gonna grab ourselves an Indeedee and put that on the bench, and then we can start using all of these Golbats that we had from last turn to draw more cards. I like this. We're going to attach the Twin. I think we're just going to play Schoolgirl. I think that's the right one. Draws 4 cards for us. And then we're just going to Hand Kinesis. We don't need to do anything more here. We just want to take the knockout. And now, we have 21 cards in hand. We will be able to knock out pretty much any V Pokemon that comes into play, as long as we don't make a fool of ourselves, as we did last time, and try and knock something out that has more HP than we have cards in hand. Although, to be fair, I don't think that our opponent has a huge amount of options here when it comes to what they can use to knock us out. They could potentially use Houndoom and trade 1 for 1, but at this stage of the game, we will eventually win because they have a 2-prize attacker. They can't do anything about our hand size, so we are set up. We are dealing damage every turn. We're going to be drawing cards every turn. Although, to be fair, we only have 9 left, so we do need to be careful. There's a Marnie. Oh, that's a really sad time for Mr. Benox. He's going to shuffle and draw 5, and we're just going to sit here with our big ol' hand. Milotic doing the job there, stopping our opponent from using Marnie to get rid of all of our cards. Ironically, if we managed to draw into a Twin Energy off of that Marnie, we would have been able to knock this Urshifu out anyway. So I'm not upset about that, really. They're going into the VMAX now. Obviously, they can't accelerate an energy without knocking out the basic V, so they need to go into the VMAX to get a KO, and this means that we will take 3 prizes in our next turn, and we're pretty much locked in now. We're pretty much guaranteed to get this win as long as we have an Indeedee on the field of play and an Indeedee on our bench, which we can guarantee. So I'm just going to draw a few more cards here, put ourselves in a position where we have as many cards as our hand as possible. I don't really think that we need to do anything else here. Let's just hand Kinesis. We'll take the knockout on the VMAX, 240 damage, and then our opponent next turn will lose the game. There is nothing that they can do to win the game from here. Unless, even if they would have put down a brand new VMAX Pokemon, I think we would have been able to get the knockout regardless. So I'm very happy with the way that Indeedee is drawn here. And I mean, Gengar's a very good deck. We'll be seeing it later on this week. It is one of the better decks in the standard format come Brilliant Stars. So oh my goodness, definitely worth considering. I think, though, we've won this one. I think it's just a matter of time now. They cannot take 3 prizes. We can take 1. So we'll just sit and wait. We'll just have a chat. What have you been up to? How you doing? Leave a comment down below. I won't be able to get back to comments at the moment because I'm in the middle of the wilderness. It's not even a joke. That's actually where I am. But I will get back to them as soon as I come back to reality. Hopefully, when I come back to reality, Brilliant Stars will be out and we can jump into opening some packs together and building some really, really cool Arceus V-Star decks, which I have had a lot of fun in testing with. I'm also kind of hopeful that PTCG Live comes out. As I don't know when this video is out. I've recorded all of these on a Sunday, but I'm not entirely sure exactly when it's coming out, but what I do know is that in Canada, on the 22nd, PTCG Live is out. It is out. As a beta, but it's out. And I mean, I would really like to see it as soon as possible. Mr. Benox says, well played, my friend. Thank you very much for an exciting game, frankly. Indeed, he did the job, though. We got the knockouts that we needed. Now we just wait for our opponent to click Darkness Fang for a knockout, and we can promote Indeedee of our own, take a knockout, and move on to another game. See if we can't get a win against something else. In fact, let's see how many cards we can get in our... Actually, we'll just take the knockout. We won't see how many cards we can get, because we can just get them all. So there's no point testing. It's a big victory. Into another one with Indeedee, and hopefully we can do the maths a little bit better this time. We have a Level Ball, we have a Capture Energy, and we are up against Mew V, which is 2 things about Mew V that I find very interesting. Firstly, we can actually attack with Crobat in this matchup for 200 damage. Mew's weak to Dark. It's a very, very solid attacker. But also, we don't need to worry about Marnie. Mew does not play Marnie, so we don't have to stress about playing down Milotic in this matchup. And that means that we can potentially find ourselves with a bench that is 4 Zubats drawing cards every single turn. So we will wait and see. Of course, there could be potential problems. We may run into some issues. We need to put a Zubat in the active, thanks to that escape rope. It's kind of annoying. But there's plenty of opportunities here. There's plenty of chances for us to get a big turn and take some big knockouts. I'm looking forward to this one. Of course, Mew is very good. It could just win the game. In fact, if it's playing Oricorio, it has an attack that just knocks out a Zubat every turn, which I don't like. But you know what? We'll wait and see if it even uses it. Doesn't look like it. Doesn't seem like it's necessarily important for him. They are flipping heads on Cramomatic though, so that's a little bit annoying. Looks like they may be going for an attack with Meloetta this turn. They're going to try and KO something that way. No, just going to go in with Mew. Fair enough, draw a bunch of cards off a Genesect, and this is what Mew does so well. Draws a lot of cards. draws a lot of cards. Alright, well, I mean, we're just gonna have to see how this one plays out here. They will be using Psychic Leap to take the knockout on the Zubat here, which is perfectly reasonable. We're going to send the Indeedee into the active, and we are just going to collect for our lives. I think a few turns of collecting is going to be the way to go for this particular deck. I will throw down Avery, though. We will remove a couple of Pokemon from our opponent's bench, Genesect and a Meloetta going away there. I'll also put another Zubat on the bench with our Indeedee. Probably should have attached actually to the benched one, but that's okay. It's gonna be fine. Let's just think about what we're gonna do then. We could potentially Rescue Carrier, but you know what? I'm just gonna wait on it. Let's collect. It only costs 1 energy. Probably should have attached to the benched Indeedee, but that's okay. We're going to see whether or not it is possible for us to get a win in this game, and at some point we will get enough cards in our hand to knock out a Mew. It's just gonna happen. At some point it's gonna happen. And it's just a matter of getting to that point. And if we get to that point before our opponent has taken 4 prizes, then we can win. It's definitely possible. Stop bringing my Zubats up into the active. That's very annoying. I've spent a lot of time putting them into play. I don't like you knocking them out, frankly. It's actually very annoying, because you know that I need them to draw cards. You know that I do. Chiharu 2808, you know that I need them, and that's why you're gusting them, and it's perfectly reasonable, but I just wish you'd leave them in play so I can just use the Golbat. Come on. Here I was saying that Zubat was going to be a big factor in this. They don't play money. We can have 4 Zubats in play. Well, I mean, they're just going to knock us out, so it doesn't really matter, does it? Okay, well, at least now we can Rescue Carrier for a couple of Zubats, which is not bad. We've also got Evo Incense and Level Ball, so we can do a few more things here. Let's start off with the Rescue Carrier, though. We get both of those Zubats. You cannot kill them all, Mew. You cannot kill all of these Zubats. Let's grab a Golbat with the Level Ball, and then we will Schoolgirl for 4. Let's see what we come upon here. Golbat seems pretty solid. Draw a couple of cards. Thank you very much. And then we can attach a Capture Energy to Indeedee and grab ourselves another... yeah, let's grab another Zubat. Seems perfectly fine. Let's stop our opponent from doing those annoying knockouts. We're going to collect again. Seems counterintuitive. Surely you just attack into the Mew. Well, no. If we attack into the Mew, then they knock us out with Psychic Leap. They can copy it from the bench. So we don't want to do that. We're just going to draw cards. We're just going to draw a ton of cards, and we're going to hope that at some point we are able to get ourselves enough cards to knock a Mew out. Now, I'll say this much. We do have access to Crobat next turn, unless they boss it up. We also have at least 2 Golbats that we can play. They cannot knock out all 3 of our Zubats. We've got at least 2 Golbats to play, potentially 1 Crobat. So we will be able to draw a ton of cards. We've also got Schoolgirl, although we will be going to odd prizes. That will be annoying. There's another Zubat there. They're gonna just kill. They're just gonna kill these Zubats. Stop killing the Zubats. You're making me feel physically unwell. Oh, man. Well, I mean, like I said, now we can draw 3 with Crobat, 2 with Golbat, and 2 with another Golbat, and that's fine. That's not a problem. And it looks like they're actually going to flip that Mew back into the deck there, which is actually quite interesting, and they're going to chuck Meloetta into the active. Now they're making me make a decision. Do I take a knockout now, or do I just stick with the plan that I have been using at the moment? I'm just going to wait and see what I get off these Golbats, to be honest. We've got 1 there. We can throw down the Crobat as well. Let's do that right now. I'm thinking that maybe it might be fine to knock the Meloetta out. At least then we've got ourselves a chance down the line. There's 1 Zubat in the deck. I am going to go for a Evo Incense to grab out that Golbat. Try and draw a couple more cards here. Put some more pressure on this Mew. 2 cards from Golbat, thank you very much. And then I'm thinking it's probably fine. We could boss the Mew, but if we do that, then they leave the Meloetta in the active. I don't even know if we have 18 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I think we're just Schoolboy here. We're just going to Schoolboy. We're going to put as many cards into our hand as possible, and then we look pretty sound, pretty solid. I don't want to use the Rescue Carrier just yet. We're going to go in with a... I think it's time to start attacking. Hand Kinesis. 210 damage. That means we have 21 cards in our hand, which means that next turn, a boss onto a Genesect could potentially see us with a couple of prizes, which I don't mind. I also would like to use Crobat again next turn. We can do that twice if we get the opportunity. Obviously, our opponent likes to gust Zubats, so we could potentially see one of those Golbats getting knocked out. But honestly, it's not that big of a deal at the moment. They're going for Release of Sparkle, so all of our Crobats and Golbats stay in play. I like that. I think that's good. I can use Rescue Carrier next turn to potentially get another couple of cards into my hand. So I'm feeling good. We may even be able to... We may be able to stretch for 310 damage here. So we'll wait and see how this goes. It could be very, very close to just a knockout on the Mew VMAX, to be honest. The thing is, we don't want to hit into the Mew VMAX. We don't want to half hit it. We don't want to do a little bit of damage. If we do a little bit of damage, it will be immediately removed. So we do need to get exactly the right amount. And also, our opponent is running out of cards. They only have 7 cards left in deck. So if they get to a point where maybe they don't have a switch left, maybe we could lock them out of the game by just bringing something into the active that they can never ever retreat. Okay, so Max Miracle, they are finally attacking into our Indeedees. Taking a prize. They have 2 prizes left to take, and we need to take 5. So, I mean, it's possible. It's definitely possible. Let's throw the Crobat into play. Scoop Up Net is a great card to see. We managed to find 1. So that's really, really good. Let's draw 3 more cards. And I think now we are pretty much guaranteed to get ourselves a knockout on this Mew. We've got a bunch of cards left in deck. There's 6 cards left in deck. I can Scoop Up Net here and get through 2 Crobats from the field, into our hand. That's very, very good. So that's adding about 4 cards after we've placed these 2 Zubats down. Then I'll use our Rescue Carrier and grab 2 more basic Pokemon to the hand, Zubat and Indeedee. I could bench. I don't think we need to. Let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I think we need to play Schoolgirl here. I think we need to play some more. Draw some more cards, please, game. Let's hand Kinesis. Hopefully this is enough. It's enough. We did it. Alright. We've done it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have done it. At this stage of the game, I do not think that there is any way that our opponent can possibly win the game before we do. Not even Mew is good enough to beat Indeedee. Indeedee is broken. It's busted. It cannot be beaten. I mean, it absolutely can. But we got a little bit lucky. We were allowed to continue to play. At this stage, as long as our hand remains exactly as it is, which it should, we should go on to win. We're doing 310 damage at the moment. We've got cards to draw. All we need to do is boss and knock out something on the bench. Our opponent's gone down to 0 cards as well, so we could just potentially pass the turn and beat them that way. I don't think we're going to let that happen, though. We're going to go in with the Indeedee on our bench and take all 6 prizes against Mew, the best deck in the format. This is the best deck that is going around at the moment, and it will continue to be into the future. We'll throw down the Twin Energy, and then let's just pick up the cards. Let's just pick up the cards. We did it. We did it. We beat Mew. We beat him. What can I say? Indeedee's a good deck. It works perfectly. Thank you very much, Sam, by the way, for giving us a lend of that one. Fantastic stuff. And thank you to these people for being channel members. You guys are absolute legends. Less than $3 a month if you want to jump in and become a member, support the channel. That would be fantastic. No obligation, obviously. Feel free to like, subscribe, or comment in any way that you can to support the channel. That's more than helpful enough for me. Just the fact that you're still here, that's fantastic. Also, by the way, if you want to see another fantastic budget deck that's actually really, really strong, it's a really good deck for the new format, this Malamar deck is going to be one of, if not the best deck in Brilliant Stars format. So click on this, check out the list, and see how it goes for you whilst Brilliant Stars is just around the corner. Thanks everyone for coming, appreciate it. Click the link, and I'll see you next time for more from the Sableyes. Bye.